Attorney Sierra Luckey is a graduate of Rollins College, where she received a Bachelor's of Arts in Science in International Relations with a minor in Political Science. Attorney Luckey later went on to receive her Juris Doctorate from Western Michigan University's Thomas M. Cooley School of Law. After graduating law school, Attorney Luckey worked at a general practice law firm where she was responsible for all the firm's personal injury and criminal defense cases. During her time at the firm, she discovered her true passion and desire to help people who cannot help themselves. After gaining a wealth of knowledge and trial experience, she then decided to branch out on her own and open her own law firm called Luckey Law Office. Welcome, Ms. Luckey, for being a guest on my podcast, Andrew Legal Matters.
Hello. Thanks, Shawn, for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So tell me, why did you choose personal injury law as a specialty?
Well, this is going to sound cliche, but I think personal injury kind of chose me in a sense. When I was actually in high school, my mother sustained a very serious injury, and so I got to experience firsthand what clients go through. And so it was going through that situation that had created my heart to help people in that type of predicament, because your life is turned upside down when you're injured, and if it's a serious injury, and your family's life is affected. And so having had that personal experience as just a high school student and walking through it, it just gave me a heart to help people in that type of, situation where they need my help. They need someone to hold their hand through it. Because it's not an easy process, and it's not a short process either. So that's kind of how I fell into it.
I definitely understand that. So, but prior to that, did you have an interest in going into or becoming a lawyer?
I did. Well, all of that, those high school years is what created my whole desire to be a lawyer, because when she was injured and we had no income, or very little income coming in, I was like, oh, my goodness, we need stuff to help people. And my little philosophy as a little teenager was, what better way to change the laws to help people than to know the law? And so I ended up in law school. And so it was just like things just started adding up. And then as I worked through law school, I started doing internships and externships, and I did one here in Norcross. With a PI firm, and that's where I got to really delve in and see, I like this stuff. Right. And then I went on to later got hired onto a firm to handle all his PI stuff. And so more and more, it just created this passion in there.
I can definitely understand that. Now, did your mom, if I may ask, was she able to recover successfully from her personal injury?
She recovered, and it was a decent settlement. However, it was just with PI cases, so they take a long time. Yeah. And I remember her going through depositions and all sorts of things. And meanwhile, bills are piling up. And so, and then it almost seemed like the settlement didn't do but so much because it had to play catch up. And it changed her life. It changed our family's life completely. But I think in the long run, I wouldn't trade that experience for the world, because I can understand when my clients come into this office and they're struggling or they're hurting and they need someone to truly fight for them and feel like they care, and not just look at the numbers. How much money how much money is this case worth, but actually care about the person who's injured.
You can definitely say you can relate because you've been there.
Yeah, firsthand.
Are there any changes you can say that you've seen in the profession since you've been practicing?
The commercials that we see all the time of those, I got $1.5 million and I got $800,000. It creates this, in society, people have this idea now that, oh, my case is going to settle out for this amount. And because people sometimes have that perception, you have so many more people filing lawsuits where it's just like this matter could have been resolved through just negotiations and demand. And just being overly litigious, and it's just more and more these people are filing these suits, and just sometimes the expectations are too high, and as a result of that, the insurance companies are becoming harder to recover from with the big money cases. You're really having to fight. And so, when you may have been able to get a six-figure settlement without so much fight, it's now becoming a lot harder.
I definitely agree with you on that, which actually leads me into asking you, with society becoming more and more litigious, are there any changes you see coming down the pike with personal injury or within the personal injury law reform?
I think it's just going to start becoming more. It's going to be a lot harder, and to recover it's even for the cases that are good, viable cases and big cases. I think it's just going to start becoming tougher and tougher. Maybe they may end up putting a cap on something as far as what you're able to recover. It's just they're having to issue out. They've been having to issue out a lot of money, and so they're going to start doing something to stop that. It can't keep going, and that may actually affect the people who truly have been severely damaged and severely injured. They may not be able to recover what you were able to recover now. You may not be able to recover 20 years from now.
I agree with you on that. Branding and marketing are always challenges, I think, for any law firm, as you had mentioned, the commercials that we see, with the $1.5 million or any other number they decide to throw out there. What do you think are the trends in branding and marketing that you've observed that you feel like would be more beneficial?
Social media is huge now. I am horrible at social media. I just started trying to hire someone to handle social media for me, but it's something that we all use, or most people use. Just about every person has a Facebook, and then you get into the Twitters and the Snapchats, and I don't even know how to use Snapchat, and Instagrams, and it's a great platform, I think, for advertisement because have you ever been online looking at, I don't know, shoes or something, and then all of a sudden you're on Facebook and ads for shoes are coming up?
Yes, ma'am.
And so in that way, social media can be used so that I think my marketing guy was trying to explain to me the pixels and stuff like that with social media marketing. And so it helps keep your business and your law firm in the forefront as far as in the consumer's eyes. Because they just happen to be Googling an attorney, and then you're on Facebook, and attorney ads start popping up. So I think it's a great tool, and people remember those. I think people pay attention to it, because sometimes if something pops up when you're on Instagram, it looks interesting. You click on it, and next thing you know, you might end up on their YouTube page or something. I don't know. But I think social media is a great, great source for advertisement, especially in today's age.
Now, may I ask you, how would you like to be able to use that person that you're looking for to hire to handle the social media aspect of, your law firm?
So I have to have certain content for them to be able to schedule postings and things I want to focus on, like I do personal injury, but also I do criminal defense work. And so here in Georgia, the hands-free law took place July 1st. And so honing in on these things where you have big law changes and really, the state issued, I think, within the first week, 3,000 tickets, I believe it was. And so just really honing in on the things that are relevant and the problems that people are encountering. So using it, he's able to use it in that aspect and trying to target clientele.
I think that's a great source or way to use it because you're on the criminal defense side, but do you also do plaintiff's work as well?
For in the criminal realm, like prosecution?
More on the personal injury side, or are you doing
side? Yeah, I only stick to the plaintiff side. I like to be on the side of fighting for the person who's injured. I have not done the defense side of work because I feel better. I feel better advocating for the person who's been hurt and trying to, I can never make them 100% whole, but at least I can get them close to it. So I feel much better staying on that side of the fence.
Okay. What are the biggest mistakes you feel PI attorneys make in marketing and branding themselves?
Sometimes unrealistic expectations, like the advertisements we heard, we see on TV and hear on the radio, and it creates that unrealistic expectation sometimes for clients, or law firms will sometimes not even touch smaller cases. If your specials are only, or maybe let's say $5,000, some law firms won't touch it, and they turn it away. And so I think that's a huge mistake because, your neighbor down the street, he still needs help, he still needs someone to fight from him. And so my firm won't turn them away, but I know some of the more aggressive firms will. They won't touch those smaller, as you say, smaller money-making cases where it's just soft tissue injury, whiplash or strains or whatever. But, we have to help. We have to remember to help the people in our community and not lose sight of those people that are right down the street from you or right next door.
Yes, I agree with you. May I ask, do you have any last thoughts or comments?
I would say if someone has been injured, it's so important that they know to continue their treatment. There have been cases I've seen that they've been really good, and then for some reason the person stopped treatment. And it's like, now your case is starting to fall apart. And so hopefully they're represented, and if you are represented, stay in contact with your attorney, because sometimes clients stop treatment because of transportation issues, but there are situations where the facility will sometimes pay for you to get back and forth to treatment. And so it's just absolutely important that they finish treatment, follow the recommendations of the treating physician, and stay in contact with their attorney. And let us know what's going on, because there's times that we may be able to help. We may be able to figure out something. And so just keeping those lines of communication open with the attorney and with the medical provider, I think is absolutely important and absolutely imperative to their personal injury case.
Okay, and Ms. Luckey, I think you definitely provided some great information. Those are some great tips that people, I think, sometimes don't think about, and I think it definitely helps their case when, as you just said, especially if it's a personal injury case and, they've been treating with a certain, either provider or even specialist, that they continue their treatment up until, when they have depositions or get ready to go to trial, because it definitely makes their case look better in terms of, even their medical specials.
Yeah.
Justifying why they're having to continue to treat due to the injuries they sustained and whatever incident that occurred in that personal injury accident. So I definitely think that's some great information. One thing you just said I think is a great idea is, if you don't have transportation, let your attorney know or let the provider know, so that maybe somebody can work out some type of, source or way that you can get to the doctor's office without still missing those treatments. So I definitely think that's key.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, we're looking for a settlement, but at the end of the day, we need to get you better.
Yeah.
because I've been in a few car accidents myself. And so
yes.
I know those aches and pains, and sometimes, you know, you may never feel 100% of what you felt before, but, you know, let's try to get you as close to how you were prior to as possible.
And Ms. Luckey, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, the firm's phone number is 678-731-7100. Email is always the best way, because if I'm in court, I can always respond to an email on my phone. My email address is Sierra, that's SIERRA, at S as in Sierra, Luckey, spelled Luckey, lawoffice.com. And you can try my social media. We're trying to get better at it. And it's Instagram is at Attorney Luckey, Luckey. So, yeah, that's the best way. And this was really fast.
Yes, it was. Well, thank you, Sierra, for being a guest on Andrew Legal Matters.